Today is day 12 of our barn house bathroom renovation. We're getting super close now. Yesterday I got our flooring installed. We used VCT tiles, vinyl composition tiles. They're kind of like the retro flooring you'd see in like a diner or like in stores. They look really cool. We use black, white, and gray. Has a really cool, old school look to them. And I need to clear coat them, but once I do that, I don't really want to be walking around in this room and stirring up dust or putting footprints on them or anything like that. So let me take care of a couple small things real quick. So before I clear coat the floors, I've been messing with the switches that I had all mixed up yesterday and trying to get them to work. So if you remember, I had a single pole here, which is what it needs, all right, just a single switch that does that light and the fan. But this switch and this switch are connected. They both turn on that light. So those are actually supposed to be three-ways. So I finally bought three-way switches, put them in there, wired them up, and then I had it all messed up. I couldn't figure out what was going on. So I got on Google and got a really quick degree in the School of Hard Knocks of wiring, all right? And figured out that this was causing me issues, all right? So when I wired it in, I had it backwards. It has down at the bottom is where the line goes in, and up top's where the load goes out. Took me a while to figure out that line, think power line. The power is there, and loads like you're carrying a load away. This just goes somewhere else. So I wired up my black and my whites on here. They're labeled on the black which side to put them on. I got that, and then I hit my power downstairs, and it lets that little red light come on. All right. So what happens is when you pull the switch now, nothing. Okay. So when I hit reset, that light goes off, and I hit the switch. And look at that, the light works. So I finally got it figured out. So on a three-way, I also learned that normally there is a red, white, and black wire coming out, all right? This one happens to have brown instead of white for some reason, but my black goes to the black screw, and then the two gold screws are where the other wires go. So I finally got that all figured out too. So now it finally works. I can move on to the floors. I wasted probably 3 hours today figuring out that wiring, plus who knows how long yesterday. Way too much time. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I finally got it. So let me just take care of this, and it'll take a while for that clear coat to dry, so I'll have to start messing with some other stuff after I get it on. So before I just start wiping clear coat over the floors, I want to make sure they're extra clean. So I need to sweep them, I need to mop them. I also need to clean up any adhesive that has come through the seams. So I'm looking at all the seams, and I'm looking for spots like this. Can you see that right there? I can kind of pick at it a little bit. So what you do is you can just take a little mineral spirits and wipe those away. It should come up. Yeah, look at that. Come off real easy. So I'm just going to go look at all the seams. Maybe every once in a while there might be a little tiny glob on one of these where I might have had it on the bottom of my foot when I was walking around or something. Just going to make sure they're extra clean. Then I'll sweep and mop, and then we'll add that clear coat. I got the entire floor nice and clean. It looks really good now. So it's time to go ahead and put the finish. So this is what I'm using. I just found it at Menards next to all the tiles. This is a floor finish, just a clear coat you put on. Basically just wipe it on with a sponge or sponge mop if you don't want to bend over, and let it dry for about 45 minutes or so, and you can put a second coat on. So pretty simple. I'm wearing a glove because I don't want this stuff all over my hand. It's going to get kind of, dries almost like polyurethane or something. So pour some on and just wipe it on. That's it. Super simple. This lasts a long time too. We did our floors in the kitchen and dining room 4 years ago, and we haven't had to do anything to them yet. We just clean them and they shine up. They're probably about ready for this again. I think you're supposed to maybe strip it or something. I haven't looked into that yet because they've held up so well. We haven't had to do it, but they look really nice, especially when you clean them. They shine up. Got that really cool old diner look to them, just all glossy and everything. Pretty cool. And there's the first coat all finished. You can see how the gloss is starting to come out. They'll get even glossier with another coat or two. Looking pretty good, and that was really easy to put on. It took maybe 5 minutes. So right now I'm gonna let them dry for about an hour or so, and I actually need to go to the store and pick up a couple things and return something. So I'll do that, and when I get back, I'll put on a second coat, and then I'll start working on another project. And here's the floor after 2 coats. I finally got the second one on there. I spent all afternoon driving to and from Home Depot to return our vanity and pick up a new one. We noticed it had a huge chunk chipped out of the bowl that we didn't see when we first opened it. So we had to return it, and then when I went to pick up a new one, they had a couple in stock. I had to wait for people to show up and then check them out, and they were kind of scratched up, so I had to pick the best one. It was a whole ordeal, but now I'm back. Got a second coat on here. I'm thinking I'll go ahead and put a third coat before I go to bed, but for right now, what I want to do is start figuring out trim. So I can trim out the window on its own, no big deal. But before I can start doing the floors or the ceilings, I got to do the doors. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and figure out what size trim I need to get around the doors and get them cut today. And then if I have time, maybe even do the windows as well and see what I can get installed there, because I'd really like to get it moving. I got to do the doors first, because like it's going to go down to the floor there, and then like the wall trim will fit between, you know what I mean, between the door trim and the piece over here. I can't put this piece in till this piece of door trim's in, so it's just kind of a back and forth type thing. So I'll just have to take some measurements and figure it out. So the trim work in here is going to be really simple. We kept it simple all throughout the house. We just used 1x4s. And we just had to cut them down to fit, and they're pretty inexpensive. They're a little hard to work with along the floor because they're not as flexible as regular trim that you can buy, but they look pretty good. And anyway, what I'm going to do is determine how wide my trim can be. So right here, where it mounts in the corner, I want to go from the corner and cover up a little bit of my door frame, but I want just a little bit of the inner lip of the door frame exposed. And you can kind of see how there's gray paint. I'm basically measuring to that line. All right, so on this door, it's basically 3 1/4. All right, so that means on this door, a maximum I'd want to do to make it look even is 3 1/4 wide trim all the way around. So I'd have to take my 1x4s and cut them down to 3 1/4. But I want to check out this door because I know that my gap right here to fit trim is a lot narrower. So check that out. I only have, what is that, 2 1/4 I could get away with, maybe 2 3/8. I guess really 2 3/8 right to this gray line right here. Possibly even 2 1/2. Let's do a little double check in. I can do 2 1/2 would be really close. I'll check down here as well. Yeah, I could do, I think I'm gonna go with 2 1/4. All right, so this door will be 2 1/4 trim. I'll probably make the top that as well, and then on the sides I can go this side a maximum of about 3 1/8. So I need to think this through. I should probably make it the same as this one. So 2 1/4, what would that look like over here? 2 1/4 would end right there, which I think would work out because I could have trim over here. So I think I'm gonna go 2 1/4. And it probably makes sense to go ahead and do this door the same so they match. So let me see if I can get away with 2 1/4. Some of these rougher areas would be, yeah, I could cover that up. It would just hit that. Yeah, right there, you'd be a little bit exposed. And then over here is pretty rough, but it is a corner. It's so bright white, I'm not sure if it's gonna show on camera, but there's a little bit of texture to it. But 2 1/4 would be, it'd end right there. So I think I could get away with that. So I think I'm gonna go with 2 1/4 and just slice down all of my 1x4s to that width. Okay, so the other measurement I need to take is height. So I want my trim to come up and stop right here, all right, with just a little bit of that board exposed. And then my top piece of trim will just sit on top of both of those, all right? So my height there will be 81 1/8. Double check over here. 81 1/8. All right, that works. So I'll write that down. And I measured my other door and it was the same, 81 1/8. So that's how tall my side pieces will be. Now to figure out how long my top piece will be that goes across here, what I'm gonna do is just add that 2 1/4 to the width of the door plus 2 1/4. I'm also taking account that, like I said, I want just a little bit of the lip of this frame here to be exposed. So I decided to go on 1/4 inch exposed there. So I will put my 2 1/4 inch measurement, or actually the edge of my frame right here will be 2 1/2. So that way when I go in 1/4 inch, then that will be the width of my trim. So there is 2 1/2. So that means this door frame is at 26 1/2. So then add a 2 1/2 to that would be 29 inches. So there we go. My top piece will be 29 inches. So to figure out my window trim, what I'm going to do is first build the pieces that lay in here, all right? So the ones that go around like this. Once those are in place, then I'll build the ones that cover the outside, all right? So I don't know if you call it trim work or case work or whatever, but I'm just showing you the super simple way I'm going to do it. So I want to come from the window here out to meet the very front edge of that new paneling we just added. So I'm just going to lay this on there nice and flat and then measure. And it looks like I can come out to 3 inches, all right? Let me double check over here. Yeah, 3 inches. So this bottom piece will be 3 inches. I also want to mount this bottom piece first. So it will come all the way and butt up against here. When the top piece comes up, when I figure out the length, it's going to have to start from the top of this piece up. So for something like this, it's kind of easier to build it a piece at a time. So you can just kind of, go back and forth and chop them and make sure they all fit and everything. But basically, that's how I find my width. And then for the length, like I said, this bottom one will go from wood to wood, which would be 39.5 inches, all right? And I'll just measure the top as well. So I'll put the top, the bottom and the tops in first, and then the side pieces will fit in after that. Yeah, my top is also 39.5 inches, so that would be really easy. Width-wise, I have a feeling that my top is not 3 inches. I think it might be bigger. The top is 3 1/8. So I think that means that our window is slightly leaning out towards the top. So I'll have to write all this down and I'll go cut my trim pieces and we'll see how this works. I come downstairs to the basement to grab my table saw and check out what I found. Look at the size of that spider. That is next to a garden hose. So that thing has got to be at least 3.5 inches diameter. That is a monster right there. I need to knock this out quick. I spent most of my day driving back and forth and messing with that light switch, so hopefully I can get these cut before I lose all my light. I'm losing my light super quick now, but I have the door trim pieces cut. I wasn't able to get to the windows just yet, but these little offcuts from it actually work perfect for the trim pieces that I need where the paneling meets the drywall, because I need to cover up those like really bad cuts we had. So these will work perfect. I'll have to measure them, but they look like they're close to 1 inch, but they're 3/4 inches thick, which I think is a little too thick. So I think I'm going to run them through my table saw and cut them to either a 1/2 inch thick or maybe even just 3/8. I just need a little skinny trim piece to put up there, so I'll do that before the neighbors call the cops. So 4 last screaming loud cuts, and then I'm gonna have to call it quits outside tonight. It's getting way too late. I decided to go at 3/8 thick. Okay, so I just simply ran out of time tonight. I can't go any longer. It's way too late. So I did get some things taken care of. I got the lights working again, which is awesome. And I got clear coat on the floor. It has 2 coats right now, but I am going to put a 3rd on it. And I also got my door trim measured and cut. I got to do a little more work before I install it. So here's the pieces right here. You can just get kind of an idea how they fit. I just went really basic and simple. The rest of the house, the boards kind of flare out and have a really cool design, but in the bathrooms, I'm just keeping it really simple. I think it'll look good, but they have a raw cut edge that I need to sand smooth. I want to round over this edge just a little bit, and I need to prime and paint those exposed sides before I install them, but they look pretty good. And then over here in the corner, this is that corner trim I cut from the cutoffs here. So of course I'll have to cut them to size, but I just trimmed it down. I believe it's 3/8 of an inch thick. You can kind of see how we have a little seam there. So when we put it in, I'll do the same thing. I will sand that edge nice and smooth, slightly round that edge, and then prime and paint it. And it's just a super simple little piece of trim just to cover that up. And I'll put it on both sides of this wall and also both sides of the vanity wall that has the paneling where it meets the drywall. Alright, so anyway, thanks for checking out this video. Tomorrow I'm going to get a lot more work done. I plan on getting all the trim built and at least painted. If it will actually dry, I can even put it up. And this place is going to really start getting built out. So it should be pretty awesome, so stay tuned. Hey, thanks for checking out this video. I really appreciate that. If you liked it, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. That really helps get it out in front of other people that might like to check it out too. And if you haven't subscribed, be sure to do that to keep up with more videos. And if you want to see some other projects I have some here on the screen and down in the description below as well.